doing, guys? Welcome back off feels like a long break for us, but a brief break. Was able to get back in quickly right after the game the next day and kind of watch our performance. Really thought collectively, offensively, defensively, special teams, probably our best game of working with each other, which we did a lot last year. This was one of those deals where you look at our special teams guys like Tom Kennedy making huge plays for us, and Sione Vaki, different guys in our special teams, and defensively, the way that our guys play, and then offensively, putting it all together. Great performances, again, of course, by Gibbs, St. Brown. We don't talk about him enough, but I don't have anything else to say about him because it's consistently the same all the time. I was really concerned about his ability to play in the game on Wednesday or whatever day it was now. What day did we play on? Thursday? Wednesday, critically concerned about his ability to play in the game, and Thursday went out and put together a performance that was not only strong, but it was just one of those deals that our team needed to see our leader on the field, and I think those guys responded to it in a great way.
How many layers to a plan are there? I mean, you're 24 hours from the game, critically concerned. I mean, we're talking about St. Brown, someone who does a little bit of everything for y'all.
Well, I'll tell you how devoted he is, and it is kind of crazy. Tuesday, the day before the game, I should say, that instead of him being, and he was at dinner with his girlfriend Brooklyn, and I'm on FaceTime with him going through the plan as it may change. He's at dinner, and not at home. So, and I felt bad. He kind of had the, phone close to his face so I couldn't see. Then he kind of backed up a little bit. Then I realized, oh my God, I'm coaching this guy at dinner. So we went through the plan and how it may change, him moving positions, other guys moving positions, and that's the other piece to it. The other layers to it is when he does come back into the fold now, you got to kind of move people around. So Tuesday and Wednesday was some difficult days. Our guys, Bruce Gradkowski, he draws most of our stuff. He's probably still upset with me from Tuesday or Wednesday, but he got it done. Coach just adjusted so well to the places we were trying to get guys, and Saint did a good job of going out and executing. So a lot of layers, but, they say, you don't stop until the hay is in the barn. There's no hay and there's no barn. You just keep freaking going, man.
Just one more on that. I think St. Brown caught the first pass, and then he left the field, and so maybe you're thinking, it's going to be a little bit of a controlled timeshare rotation for him. Ends up playing 92%. So how much was it just checking in on him after that first play to make sure it was right? Like, how much did it just develop in the moment?
It's always about menus, right? How first 15, first 8, however people call it. You got a way that you're going to attack a team on the first drive, and we were just in our menu. So it wasn't us trying to see if he was ready to go. He made it very clear to me on Wednesday, it's all or nothing. I'm even out there for every play. I was like, well, no, it's all or nothing. So it was more about the menu and how we saw the plays rolling out. Like, we had to get away from the menu a little bit like you always do in third downs, but it kind of went the way that we thought it was going to go. And then once he got tackled that first drive and got up and came off, I knew that he was ready to go. I just wanted to see him get tackled and get off the ground. Yep.
I know I asked you about this last week with just the value of experience for Isaac, and you said it's not just the experience it's taken from the practice field. With St. Brown down for half a game or 3/4 of a game and the whole week of practice, Isaac said he got more practice time than he'd ever had. He felt it at the end of the week, but also J-Mo, right? Like, J-Mo's been asked to do more, and he's kind of delivered. How much was just that little stint without Amon-Ra valuable to the collective in how they can be utilized here down the stretch?
Oh, it just depended on how they took it, right? The pressure was applied to them, and it was either going to burst pipes or it was going to make a fine diamond. This week, it turned into what it turned into. So I thought that those guys being able to be in those roles, it really puts a big spotlight on you, not only, for the coaches, but it does it for the rest of your teammates. You're jumping into the number one role, you're jumping into the number two role, and you guys are mixing what you're doing. Now, all of a sudden, Isaac, you're aligning in the slot, you're aligning outside, you're aligning backside, we got you in motion. And the biggest detail of all of that for those guys is the run game, because that is where we have the ability to use our positions totally different than a lot of other teams. You don't even think about some guys in receiving as a run game threat. But with our guys, because of their ability to come in and block and what we require and what we demand of them, they can come in and do it, and they do it in different roles. But when you're doing it in different roles, and it's a little bit different than what you're used to, maybe you're the interior blocker versus the exterior blocker, or you're the cross blocker, or potentially bluffing ends and going to the next level. There's a lot of details that are connected to that, and that's where I think they got probably the most practice at and a little bit better at last week.
You played the Rams in that playoff game in 2023. That defense was crazy young. How have you seen them kind of come together and grow over these last 18 months or so? Because they are kind of looking like one of the best defenses in the league at every level.
Yeah, their connection top down, and top and down up. I mean, they're very, very talented up front. There's no doubt about it. Their ability to get off the football, pressure you with speed, and then they set the edges as well as anybody else. So now when you take that and put that into totality, you've controlled the line of scrimmage. And then on the Sackett level, now they have backers that can run sideline to sideline. They diagnose really quickly. You see them getting off blocks. The double teams never seem to get them because they're either in front of it or behind it. And then, but the greatest detail, I think Aubrey's done a good job of just detailing their coverage to their front. Doing a really good job of holding shell as long as they can. And then not only holding shell, but there's some different variations in the way that, they're using their hips to make you think they're going to thirds or they're going to halves or holding it just a little bit longer, or knowing when they can cut a route potentially based off of who the personnel is outside. So they do a really, really good job. I think overall IQ is where they've gotten a lot better at, just by playing together, getting older together, but a very, very fundamentally sound, schematically sound, and extremely talented defense.
Dan said part of the plan versus Dallas was to put a lot on Jared's shoulders. What do you make of the job Jared's done this season, given all the moving parts around him?
Man, amazing. I just think that, the biggest piece, of course, that moved is starting the season, not having the same guy that's been in front of him. That's very difficult. And there's a sense of comfort that comes from not only the guy that's directly in charge of protecting right in front of you, but your major communicator, the guy that you speak to the most. So he handled that. We moved that. We're trying to move on that. Had to grow in some situations there, and I think we were able to do it. And then now, even though we don't talk about it, there's also you lose TP and he goes elsewhere, and we move other guys into those receiver roles. The backs are pretty much the same, but you move other guys into those receiver roles, and now J-Mo's in a bigger role, and still having to be able to get the ball consistently to 1-4, and just handling all that and still being able to complete the ball at the percentage that he has. And then the final and probably the biggest thing is not being in the same the consistency of knowing the offense that he was in for 3 years and then coming in, even though there are some things that we definitely do the same, just being able to adjust to everybody around him. He's done a good job.
Scottie, it seems like Jahmyr just continues to grow as a pass catcher. Last week obviously speaks for itself. You've been around him for a few years now. Where have you seen him grow the most as a pass catcher, especially running those routes out of the slot?
I think that we started to see some of this growth going into year two. We have a lot of weapons. I've said that before, and we saw this growth. There's no doubt we saw it, and there were certain things that we did last year. But now with, Sam being out, now we're getting to, put some of that on tape and letting him utilize some of those deals. I mean, Sam was a great choice runner. Sam was a great strike runner. All these routes, but we're just now finding more ways to get Jahmyr involved with the offense. But where I've really seen him grow probably the most in the last year would be just confidence in coverage and understanding and coverage recognition. If you watch everything that he's doing, even his choice routes, everything that he's doing is probably 0.5 to 0.7 1.75 seconds quicker, which is better for Jared, which is better for our tackles, which is better for everybody. So everything he's doing now, it's not that he's running faster. His decision-making is happening quicker, and he's better at the top of his routes. So now that he's gotten that part together, I mean, you know, he's going to continue to get stronger at the top of his routes, just being able to break. And, you know, I think the sky's the limit. I don't know a limitation, you know, on him as a player. I really don't. This guy can do it. I mean, he can protect. He's sharp as they come. That I've been talking about that for freaking 3 years now. And he's exactly who we thought he was.
See that 0.5 to 0.75, or can you just tell perception? Because it seems so small, but it seems like a
huge
life
difference. No, it's a lifetime. It's exactly right. So the biggest point where you can find it out, you know, Coach David Cutcliffe coached me a long time ago with the quarterback play, and our goal was to get the ball out in 2.6 or better, right? And the difference in what he made me understand that 2.6 to 3.3 and the pressure it's putting on our tackle, and also the pressure it's putting on our immediate front, was such a huge deal. And I didn't know that much about it until I started watching choice routes, right? It was just that ability to make those decisions quick enough so the quarterback could be on his back foot and feel really good about getting it out. But that's what he's doing. He's just out of it so much faster. And it's really easy to see once you put on a choice route from last year, practice-wise, and then a choice route from this year, you'll just see we're hitting our back foot, balls out, he's on it, he's coming out of those breaks, and he's getting run after catch, whereas last year there were a couple where he was coming out of it maybe a little bit later, and now we're making a play, but he's getting tackled for an 8-9-yard gain.
Tom has been super explosive as a kick returner. That's an area where you had a lot of success. What has allowed him to kind of add that element to the return game?
No fear. Zero fear. When you're a returner, you can just imagine it. You got 10 guys that are running directly at you, full speed, most on the same level. There's the windows are small. I'm talking about tiny windows. And then you have your people in between those windows trying to create spaces. So the first thing that a lot of guys do when they're in that mode is they come to balance with their feet. And the moment you come to balance, you're tackled, right? So you have to set the block and go. He's doing a really good job of setting blocks, but he's just fearless. I mean, he is just flying through there, and that is what it takes to be a returner. A lot of times especially in the new way that everything is already compacted, we used to create a little bit more angles and lanes when we were a little bit further apart, and there were, double teams, and there were, like when I was there, when we had, 3 and 4 people linked up together, the wedge, and then, you could create different things. Now it's mono a mono, so these windows are a lot closer, a lot tighter, and he's just doing a good job of just being fearless and running in there, and he has great vision.
Scottie, I think since Jeremy asked you about pass interference penalties and the lack of them, you guys have 2 in the past 3 games. You get some credit for that?
No. Without crying, I told you guys I stay away from the fines. Christmas is coming up, and that is going to be a big enough fine on my pocket. But, what I would say is that our guys are running through contact the same way. Do I think that we maybe could get more? That is up to the officiating and not me. All right, thank you guys.
Looks like Christian's going to start practicing again, opening that window. I'm just curious, when you evaluated him before the injury, week 9, how did you think he was playing in his second season? They always say that jump from year 1 to year 2 is huge. How did you think he was playing?
I told him he's still a rookie. He only played in 2 games, so he came back so late. But he was doing good. He was playing physical, fast. Even when we got him as a rookie, he has a pretty good mental capacity and knowledge of the game really well. He did it coming out of Boston College. He did a nice job preparing him to play really pro ball and the mental aspect of it. So he was doing good there. A lot of stuff we just needed to clean up because it was really his first year full-time starter. So he brings physicality to the table and stuff like that, but as you play, the better you become, the more you learn from your mistakes and what your positives are. So I'm excited to get him back on the field, and see where he's at, and we'll see today. It'll be his first day with us a little bit, doing some stuff, so we're all excited to see him get back. I know he is. Anytime you get to land on IR, you just can't wait to get back out on the field to practice.
I think so much of this game is rolling with the punches, players and coaches. You just got to take it as it comes to you. But can you just put into words the emotional whiplash of the Frank situation, just knowing you're getting him back and then just having that kind of rug pulled out from under you almost immediately?
It's I'm not disappointed at all. It's just circumstances. My daughter might be more disappointed than anybody. So she was here today. He thought he was coming back, but definitely a fan of Ragnow. Loved him when he was here. Loved him when he played. He definitely has plenty in him to still play. Unfortunately, he got a little nicked up in his training. He's been training the whole time. He just doesn't turn it off. But unfortunately, it didn't go that route. And I'm not disappointed at all. It's just, unfortunately, he had that, what was it, a grade 3 or whatever it turned out to be, and he just thought it was a little tweak. So that's how tough he was, and that's how tough he was when he played here. We had to pull him back a lot of times, like, hey, no, we're sitting you out, to get you better. But love the guy. The guys in this room, in the building, love him. Fan base, of course, loves him. But, man, I'm happy for him, too. He's just being a dad and enjoying life out there, doing a lot of deer hunting, so.
At least the door is open mentally. Do you start campaigning for 2026 at some point?
No, if he wanted to be back, though, that door's open, but it's all good, though. I'm very happy for him and not disappointed at it at all, though. Not upset.
You think he's done? You think he's done that?
Oh, I really haven't talked to him since then, so that would be on you would have to ask him.
When did you know that was a realistic possibility this year?
When he called me, that's really what it, because I know if he's in, he's in, and if he's out, he's out. That's been his mentality. Even when we draft him, you kind of know. And you get to know people in this business when they play. Same way when my guys get dinged up. Normally, if they tell me they can go and they're dinged up, I trust them. If they say, well, I'm not, you probably can't go, so if you're hesitant. So I know Frank's mentality, if he's all in, he's in, and he's out, he's out. So, but wish him and his wife nothing but the best out there in Minnesota, and we'll always be friends and like family at this point.
I was just going to ask just on the outside, not too much about Frank who's not here, but those of us that don't understand what he was trying to come back and play through, did you at least ask him afterwards, like, how did you not realize how much of an injury that was? Did anybody? No,
like I said, I haven't really spoke to him since then, but by text, just like, hey, I'll talk to you later when you have time, So it is what it is. So.
Your daughter on it.
My daughter was disappointed, but that's fine. My family's a big Ragnow fan, and they're a big O-line fan. We probably represent most of the O-line jerseys in the stadium, probably. So, especially with having 4 boys, and then my daughter, she has everybody's jersey. So it just depends what her biggest fan is. Probably Barry, though. She loves Barry Sanders. Does reports on him all the time. So,
I'll ask you about Miles. Obviously played and held his own last week. First time he's really played. It seems difficult having not really done anything for a few months there. When did you know that he had that in him, that he might be able to get out there and help you guys? And what does it say about him that he was able to do that?
Well, he's very much on, like, I would say, the Mahogany plan when he got, Mahogany wasn't here all camp, all that. And so you were hopeful, okay, could he be on that same plan? And, we've done a good job, strength staff, getting them ready, trainers, and the plan was really just to probably get him a couple series here and there, and he was doing okay. There's things we had to clean up, obviously, stuff like that, the pre-snap penalties and all that. But he held his own in there, and he's going to get better. And the more you play in this game, and as long as you're learning from it, you'll become a good player. And he's shown in practice that he has the ability to play for us and help us win, and that's why he's in there. It's not just to get a look. He's shown in practice that he's doing well there on the show team and stuff. So when you're running show team for us, and I would say more often than not across the league, it's not just to give the defense a look. You're going to win your rep to get yourself better in case you have to be pulled up to play, because you're 1 or 2 plays away from being a starter. And he did a nice job. So stuff to clean up. He wrote his first chapter in his book, with that game. The Rams are going to be looking at it. How can they attack him? What can they use against him? And but he's going to learn from what he got, the experience he did.
Just the fact that Christian did do that last year, maybe it was a little bit normalized to us, the guy being able to come in, miss camp, and just insert in the lineup late in the season. But is that reasonable to you, like when you laid out those expectations, or do you think he's exceeded expectations in some way?
No, I think I kind of equate it a little bit on sometimes. As a rookie, it's a little different, but even when we drafted him, Frazier, it's just like you could see his play style at LSU, his natural ability there, switching off games, all that stuff. You saw the physicality, but I always just equate when you come in midway through the year, take away the rookie part, it's no different than being IR'd and coming back and you're halfway through the year and you're getting ready to go get up to speed. And that's why our practices are designed the way we do it. And you're getting yourself ready. Miles is, when he's showing show team, we're repping like this week. Our show team is going to be showing the Rams offense. But as a lineman, you're going to work your craft. You're going to switch games off. You're going to double team. You're going to run off the ball. And when you show the ability during practice, that gives us more comfort to be like, hey, he should be up game day. Let's give him a shot. He looks good. He's going to help us win. We're not just going through the motions. If you're going through the motions, one, we shouldn't even have you on the team still. So he's just working his craft. So my expectations for these guys is just be ready. You just never know. We have a number of guys in that room that haven't seen the field yet, but it's always prepare because it takes one or two plays. Even in practice, somebody goes down Friday and all of a sudden you're up game day. So you got to prepare like you're a starter. And I think Miles, once he's gotten back out of the rehab, all that, he prepared that way. Same with Christian. He did the same thing last year. Prepared to all right, when it's my time, I want to take full advantage of it. And that's what we're trying to do is just slowly build him in there to start taking advantage of the reps he's given.
Hank, on that note, you've had so many injuries on that offensive line, your position group, so much uncertainty. How do you go about formulating a game plan with that? I imagine you have contingency boards all over the place.
The expectations doesn't drop for whoever's in there. I know everybody's like, well, not everybody's Panay Sewell, not everybody's Taylor Decker, Ragnow, for instance, but the expectations and for our room or the team don't drop just because we're putting the next guy in. Those expectations stay the same. Game planning, you try to put your guys in the best positions, best angles, best you can do schematically. But we're going to run our offense too, and we build things around, our skill guys, our O-line, and game planning, you try to do that same thing. But we do have a basis of this, call it the run game, protections, passes, routes. But those guys got to get up to speed to that, and then you just try to be smart about when you are game planning. Maybe you don't pull a guy as much. Maybe you don't do something as much. But I would say us, we do a little bit of everything. So, when teams are preparing, just like we're about to face a team that pretty much can do a little bit of everything, it makes it harder for defenses to prepare for you. So our guys' expectations doesn't drop. The standards don't drop. Just because you might not be those other guys, I expect you to go in there and compete and win.
I think the last time we talked to you was 5 or 6 games into the year. A lot more under Ratlich's belt now. Where have you seen maybe the biggest areas of growth with him as he's kind of turning the corner on a rookie season?
Well, there's a lot. It's a laundry list of what he's grown. Good positives. There's some things he still needs to clean up. False starts is one. I'm going to mention that all the time because those are pre-snap penalties we control. But he's grown and just learning from little things like, man, I set too far like this and that got me beat. Majority of the time, O-lineman, I like to at least say is, we did it to ourselves, the sacks. We underset it, we overset it, we false stepped, we fell, tripped, we got our feet underneath it, we're on our heels, they ran us over, and we've seen that on film, right? No lie, right? But normally it's fundamentals. So I think fundamentally he's gotten better and more consistent. And really when it comes to O-line play, it's all about the consistency. And if you're consistent, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. And if you're out of your fundamentals and your realm of yourself and playing outside, your weight outside and all that, it can be a long day for you. And no difference this week going against the Rams. They do a great job fundamentally. Those D linemen play fundamentally sound. They rip off blocks. They hustle to the ball. And if we're not on point with our fundamentals, our finish, our grip, our footwork, our weight, it could be a long day for us. So this game all comes down to fundamentals. And when you get from college to here, the difference is who's fundamentally more sound. Because you guys are both very good athletes. You're very strong. You're not just bullying the guy always in front of you. And you can be standing tall and knock somebody off 4 yards off the ball. You got to be sound. So he's learning from his mistakes and what he does well, too, and keep building on that. So I've seen a lot of growth. I know a lot of times and I pointed out as a coach, probably this way a parent sometimes, there's always the negatives and the bads because you expect them to win and do it right. But there's a lot of good stuff he's done this year, and I get the bads and stuff because that's obvious. But there's a lot of good stuff these guys are doing.
I just want to ask you before we left.
Quick.
Just, I don't know when we'll get you next, playoffs maybe or something like that. I know you probably want to talk to us all the time, but do you still want to be an offensive coordinator? Like, do you still want to call plays, or are you content being an offensive line coach?
I'll just leave. I just want to be the best coach right now, best O-line coach, and if one of those ever came up, it would interest me. But right now, can I be the best O-line coach or the best coach today? So that's really the focus on it. All that other stuff, like last off season, was fun. It's you know, it's nice to look back, but really the focus is how can I become better, and how do I get my guys to become better too every day? Like today, as soon as I walk off this podium, how do we get better for the Rams? Like that's all the focus is.